You know, there's this really fascinating disconnect I've noticed. Whenever I talk to friends about moving abroad, South Korea is always like right at the top of their
Oh,
lists.
absolutely. It makes total sense.
It does, right? You have this thing they call the K-dream. It's this super glossy, high energy image. You've got the food, and who doesn't love Korean
Your
BBQ?
24-hour culture, the
Mhm.
safety, and of course, K-pop, it just feels welcoming.
Exactly. It feels
Yeah.
accessible, but the moment you decide to switch from just visiting to actually living there, you hit a very different reality.
A much, much different reality.
Right. You pack your bags, you land at Incheon, and you're ready for this huge adventure, and then you just smack right into this massive concrete wall,
Housing.
the housing market. And that's what we're unpacking today. We're not just talking about high rent, we're talking about a rental system that is, I mean, fundamentally different from almost anywhere else on earth.
It's a total cultural maze. You're dealing with financial principles that just don't exist in the West, a market moving at light speed, and a system that can be pretty hostile to outsiders.
So today, we are going to decode that maze. We're basing this deep dive on a really comprehensive guide called Why Expats Struggle to Rent in South Korea. It's a super honest look at the pitfalls and the workarounds you need to know.
So you don't end up broke. Because the upfront cash you need, it can be staggering.
Okay, so let's start where you would start. You've just landed, you pull out your phone to find an apartment. In the US, I'd open Zillow. What happens in Korea?
You immediately hit what we can call the digital barrier. You download the big apps like Zigbang or Dabang, and you realize everything is 100% in Korean.
And I'm guessing it's not as simple as just using Google Translate?
Not really. The context is everything. The guide compares it to trying to build IKEA furniture without the instructions. You see a picture, but you're guessing at the critical details.
Is the maintenance fee included? What are the contract terms?
Exactly. The apps are built for locals who already get the system.
Yeah.
So right away, you're flying blind.
And that makes you vulnerable to the next problem, which the guide calls the fake listing phenomenon.
Oh, yeah. This is a big one.
I mean, fake listings happen everywhere, but this sounds almost institutionalized.
It's a classic bait and switch. You see this beautiful, spacious apartment with a great view for a surprisingly low price. You think, I got lucky. You call the agent.
Let me guess. Oh, sorry, that one just got taken.
Literally 5 minutes ago. But they say, I have another one nearby. And that other one is always older, smaller, and more expensive.
So the first one never even existed.
Never. It was just a lure to get you to call. It wastes so much time. And in the Korean market, time is something you just do not have.
Okay, so the apps are a minefield. The next step is a human, a real estate agent or a realtor saw.
Right, the realtors out. They're the gatekeepers. You can't rent without one.
Yeah.
But this is where the foreigner freeze really starts to set in.
The foreigner freeze, that sounds chilly.
It's the cold reality. Most local agents don't speak English. And frankly, a lot of them don't want the hassle of explaining a complex contract to a foreigner.
So you have to find a specialist agent, one who deals with expats.
You do, which is helpful, but it comes with what the sources call the English tax.
Wait, like an official government tax?
No, it's more of a service markup. Because it's more work for them, translating, explaining things. Some agencies add an extra fee. Maybe $300,000, one or so.
That's over $200 just for the privilege of communicating in English.
Exactly, and honestly, a lot of people pay it because the alternative is to drag a Korean friend around to translate for you.
Which is this really uncomfortable dependency, right? You're an adult professional, but you need a chaperone to rent an apartment.
It can feel a bit humiliating. And even then, you still have to get past the landlord. This is the trust gap.
What's that about?
Landlords are extremely risk-averse,
Mm.
and they often see foreigners, especially students, as flight risks.
The fear being that you'll just get on a plane and disappear.
Exactly, leaving them with an empty apartment. So even with cash in hand, a landlord might just say no based on your nationality. It happens all the time.
Okay, so let's say we navigate all of that. We found an agent, paid the tax, found a trusting landlord. Now we see the place. This is where things get fast.
Fast is an understatement. In the West, you look for an apartment maybe 2 months out.
Yeah, you want to get it locked in.
In Korea, looking more than a month ahead is pointless. The turnover is insane. Listings appear and disappear in days, sometimes hours.
Hours. So if I see a place I like in the morning.
It could be gone by lunch, seriously.
Okay.
If you see a place you like, the agent will tell you to send a holding deposit immediately. If you say, let me sleep on it,
It's gone.
it's gone. The whole process, viewing, signing, moving in, usually happens in 1 to 2 weeks. It is a whirlwind.
That is incredibly stressful. And what are we actually looking at? The guide mentions a unit of measurement called piang.
Right, it's the traditional unit for space.
Mm-hmm.
1 piang is about 3.3 square meters, or maybe 35 square feet.
Okay, so if an apartment is 10 piang, that's 350 square feet. That's a small studio, but doable.
Well, hold on. This is the piang puzzle. That 10 piang measurement often includes common areas.
What, like the hallway outside my door?
Yes, the hallway, part of the stairwell, the elevator shaft.
You're kidding. I can't live in the elevator shaft.
It feels like cheating, but it's the system. It means that the actual space inside your apartment is always smaller than the number on the listing. The reality for most expats in Seoul is about 300 square feet,
Cozy.
and probably unfurnished.
Yeah.
You'll get a washing machine and a stove, but you're buying your own bed.
But wait, you just said the timeline is 2 weeks. So I find a place in a panic, move in, and then I'm sleeping on the floor.
For a few days, probably. It's a very, very steep learning curve.
A logistical nightmare. Okay, let's pivot to the money, because this seems to be the most shocking part of the whole system.
It's definitely the biggest hurdle. It all revolves around the idea of key money.
Key money. So a security deposit in the West is what, 1 month's rent?
Right. In Korea, the deposit, or key money, actually controls your monthly rent. It works like a seesaw.
Go ahead, break that down.
High deposit, low monthly rent. Low deposit, high monthly rent. They move in opposite directions.
And when you say high deposit, what are we talking about for that 300 square foot studio?
Okay, so there are two main systems. The first is WOLS. That's the one with monthly rent. But even there, the deposit is a minimum of, say, 5 to 10 million Korean won.
That's 4 to 8,500 US dollars as a deposit.
Correct. And that's on the low end for Seoul. You still pay monthly rent on top of that, maybe around 600,000 to a million won.
Wow. Okay, so that's WOLS. But the guide mentions another system that sounds just unbelievable. Jeonzeo.
Jeonse. This is uniquely Korean. In a Jeonse contract, you pay 0 monthly rent.
0. How is that possible?
Because you give the landlord a massive lump sum deposit. We're talking 50 to 80% of the property's entire value.
So I'm handing my landlord, what, $200,000 in cash?
Sometimes more, yes. You give him that for the 2-year lease.
And when I move out,
You get 100% of it back.
my brain is struggling to understand the economics here. Why would a landlord do that? How do they make money?
Historically, interest rates in Korea were really high. A landlord would take your 200,000, put it in the bank, and live off the interest. That interest was your rent.
So I'm giving my landlord an interest-free loan.
Exactly. It's a system built on that principle. But it's risky. There have been Gen Z scams where landlords go bankrupt and tenants lose their life savings.
That's terrifying. I assume expats don't really use this system.
Very, very rarely. I mean, first, who has that much cash on hand? And second, getting a bank loan for it as a foreigner is nearly impossible. So most expats are in the WOLS system.
And we can't forget the hidden costs. The sources mention Guanlibi.
Right, the building maintenance fee. It's separate from your rent and it's not optional. It averages around 100,000 won, but $85 a month.
And that's on top of everything else.
On top of everything, it covers cleaning, security, the elevator. Not your utilities, though. Those are also separate.
Okay, so let's talk red tape. What paperwork do I actually need to do this?
Well, your passport and visa, obviously. But the golden ticket, the thing that stops everyone, is the ARC, the Alien Registration Card.
Your official ID card.
It is the key to life in Korea. You can't open a real bank account, get a phone plan, or sign a lease without it.
And the problem is?
Time. It can take a month or more to get your ARC after you arrive. But you need a place to live now.
So you're in limbo. You need the ARC to get an apartment, but you have to wait a month to get the ARC.
It's a classic catch-22. And then you also need proof of income, which is a huge problem for students. A landlord sees no job and immediately gets nervous.
Okay, so this all sounds like a complete nightmare. But the guide also talks about solutions. There have to be workarounds.
There are. The market is adapted. If you have the budget and you just want to skip all the stress, the lifesaver is the service department.
Right. Fully furnished, all-inclusive.
Exactly. It's a hybrid of a hotel and an apartment. Utilities are included. Terms are flexible. You just walk in with your suitcase.
And for this, the sources point to a platform called moveinstay.com. What's their deal?
They're interesting because they've been doing this for over 25 years, specifically for business travelers and expats in Asia-Pacific. They're not a new startup.
So this is for the professional who lands on a Tuesday and needs to be working from a comfortable spot on Wednesday.
Precisely. You don't have time for the peon puzzle or guanlabi. Move-in stay connects you with serviced apartments, hotels, that kind of thing. You're paying a premium for convenience, but you're removing all that hassle.
That makes a lot of sense. It buys you time. What about other options?
For that initial landing phase, short-term rentals like Airbnb are perfect. They give you a base while you do the long-term hunt.
And what about the isolation factor? The foreigner freeze sounds lonely.
Yeah, for that, community housing or share houses are becoming really popular. You get a private room, but share a kitchen and living space.
Instant social circle.
Exactly. It's a great way to meet people right away.
And the sources mentioned one more specific workaround for that insane deposit problem.
Right? A platform called EncoStay. They're mentioned as a service that specifically offers no deposit options.
No deposit. So it breaks that seesaw rule we talked about.
It does. They're trying to find a way around that huge key money requirement that blocks so many foreigners from even getting started.
That's a huge deal if you don't have 10 grand in cash just sitting there.
It's a game changer. It shows the market is at least trying to crack open a little bit.
So if we zoom out, renting in Korea is this massive trade-off.
If it is, it's always speed and convenience versus cost and bureaucracy. The local wool system is cheaper per month, but you pay for it with stress, language barriers, and that massive deposit.
And the expat-friendly options like serviced apartments.
You pay more, but you keep your sanity.
It really seems like the ultimate hack isn't an app or a website.
That's the biggest takeaway from all the sources. The number one hack is having a trusted Korean friend or a supportive employer to advocate for you.
Someone to bridge that trust gap.
Exactly. When a local vouches for you, that flight risk fear goes down. The language barrier disappears. It's the single most valuable asset you can have.
That is great advice. Before we wrap, I want to leave our listeners with a final thought. We're seeing this global rise of digital nomads. Korea says it wants to be a hub for them.
They do. They're introducing new visas, trying to attract that global talent.
But the housing system is still so rigid and traditional, it feels like a clash is coming.
That's the big question, isn't it? Will Korea's high-deposit rental market crack and adapt to this new international workforce? Or is the foreigner freeze just a permanent part of the experience?
It feels like something has to give. You can't invite the world in and then ask for a $10,000 deposit at the door.
I think we're seeing the early cracks, but that key money culture is deep. It's not going to change overnight.
Well, if you are planning that move to Korea, maybe start saving up now.
And start being very nice to your Korean friends. You're going to need them.
Exactly. Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We'll see you next time.